Hey everyone, welcome back to AVIXA TV Live here from the AVIXA Exchange booth at InfoComm 2022. Hey, big shout out to the team that put that video together and the recap video that you saw before the show. Also, big shout out to our producers, Mark, Noreen, Sam, and then Scott over there as well. Big shout out to those guys. We couldn't do what we do without you. Thank you so much. But today's segment is dedicated to the young guns of AV, and we're excited. We've got some fun announcements to make. Sam, what are we talking about today?
So we are talking about right now our AVIXA Foundation, and we're going to introduce you to some of our fabulous winners right here. But every year, the AVIXA Foundation awards thousands of dollars to students and emerging professionals who are interested in pursuing a career in the AV industry. It's also an opportunity for us to reach out to underrepresented communities and make our industry a little bit more diverse and inclusive. So we've got some of our amazing award winners here with us today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the mic, and I want them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about why and what got them interested in pursuing a career in AV. So I'm going to let y'all take it away.
Well, I'm Irene. I'm about to be a transfer student at Towson University. Really, the reason why I got into AV was really an act of self-expression for me. I just feel like AV is this tree with like so many branches of different places and career opportunities that you can go to. And I really enjoy that I'm able to merge my creativity with reason to give people an experience that they probably have never witnessed before.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That's awesome, yeah. Hi, I'm AJ. AJ from sports, except I don't do sports. And I got into AV with the help of my mentor sitting next to me, who you will learn from soon, shortly after me. And I met him freshman year of high school. And I wanted to become a thespian. I wanted to be an actor. And my teacher was like, AJ, if you want to be an actor, you need 5 more points. You know how you're going to get those points? You're going to do Godspell. Oh, but you're not acting. No, you're running the sound for it. I said, oh, okay. And then ever since, it's been 6 years, and here I am falling in love with the industry, and I mixed all throughout high school, and now with Chet, I have been doing integrated audio, so I've been in the ceiling, pulling cables, building racks, everything, just seeing audio come together, having the ability to control it, but also make it happen. It's just been amazing.
Okay. Thank you.
There you go.
Chet?
My name is Chet Neal. I'm the owner of Reliance AV and been mentoring the youth at Tech Theater at Lake Brantley High School for about the past 10 years now. And really enjoyed kind of giving back. A lot of parents get involved in the high school level and doing the tech and the lights and the sound. And I was really involved in training the students that are interested in doing it themselves. And when AJ came along 5 years ago, she was just like a natural. She looked at the console, she was inquisitive, the aptitude was there, and I'm like, you got this. And she started mixing that first year as a freshman all throughout. And when I opened the doors on this company 2 years ago, she was there since day one and was helping as an intern. And now she's off in college, but working for me full-time pretty much on our installs.
Fantastic.
So
cool. As we can see, AJ is clearly a wallflower, you know, so.
Very quiet.
Right, the one in the back corner. But Chet, so
Exactly.
Obviously you saw something in AJ and are her mentor. Can you speak a little bit about mentorship in the AV industry and why it is important to be that figure to help our younger generation into this industry?
Well, I think it's key because what I've found in recruiting people for hire in this industry, no one's heard about AV. No one wakes up one day, it's like, I'm going to be an installer for AV. They all get here from different paths. And I think it'd be really interesting to try to get the awareness out there that this can start as a path. You can start out in this industry. And as Irene touched on, it's a tree with all the branches of different aspects, different careers, different areas to go down to with design, engineering. So installing is only in the beginning. And she's very quickly, AJ's learning that, and she's also been working with our control systems and started programming some of our touch panels. So it's huge.
Irene, I love that you mentioned that AV was an outlet for creative expression, but it's also an outlet for community. Talk about some of the ways that you were able to find some community and express some of that creativity at the same time.
Yeah, so, COVID happened and the AV industry was hit pretty hard by that. And I live in Maryland, so I was able to use the limitless technology that we have today to, do remote sessions with post-production and interact with artists from North Carolina all the way up to the UK. And I just felt like that was that collaborative effort was so important to me because these are people that I probably would have never been able to meet or collaborate with if it wasn't for these technologies that we have today, and if it wasn't for it being what I wanted to do.
Fantastic. So are either of you involved in any other organizations or trade associations related to your passion in AV?
Currently not, just the AVIXA Foundation.
I am not yet, but that doesn't mean I'm not looking forward to it. I'm going to look and do more research and hopefully find some more organizations to join.
Well, this is definitely a great place to network and speak with others who may be, familiar with other associations or, things that you may be interested in. So definitely take advantage of that while you're here.
And if I could give a shout out to Sound Girls, actually. They, organization that I brought AJ to, and I was asked to help put on an event for a Sound Girls function in Orlando. And I brought in a bunch of women for that event, and AJ was there as part of that, and getting into the live component of what we do in the live sound. So that was a big
Great.
one.
Well, sticking on the organization aspect, obviously we are partial, but we do love AVIXA here.
Yes.
When people are relatively new to the industry, the industry associations like AVIXA, like National Association of Broadcasters, things like that, aren't necessarily top of mind. So how were you first introduced to AVIXA? Irene, we'll have you start.
Yeah, so I was first introduced through AVIXA through a nonprofit technical program that I went through. And at the end of that program, they introduced us to different employers and companies, and AVIXA was one of them. And I really didn't, like you said, I didn't know about AVIXA at all. I didn't know who the heck they were. So I did a little bit more research on them, and I saw that they offered a scholarship. I just felt like that was pretty powerful because, you don't really see scholarships that are related specifically to AV. So I went ahead, took my chance, applied, and I got it.
AJ, same question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was introduced to everything through Chet. I had zero idea that AVIXA was an organization, that audio scholarships were even a thing. I remember joking with my friends being like, there should be a scholarship for what I'm doing because why isn't there? And then I find out, oh no, there is.
Right here.
Yeah, and so that's pretty much how I figured everything out, was through Chet. Since he has that upper hand being in the industry for, a lot longer than I have, he has more experience and wisdom, and he's passed that down to me. And that's how I figured everything out. And now because of that, I'm hopefully going to be able to connect and grow and figure out more people and join more things. Yeah.
Well, Irene, AJ, and Chet, thanks for joining us on stage today. We appreciate you guys hopping over here with us. Our next guest is, I'm going to keep it a surprise. But first, we have episode 2 of the most watched show on internet TV, InfoComm. Let's roll that bad boy.
You're welcome.
We are here at the HoloPlot booth at InfoComm, doing a tour, seeing the newest holograms.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to InfoComm.
Hey, man, do I know you?
We sure haven't met, but I tell you what, you're one good-looking fella.
Appreciate that, but how'd you get this box?
I'll say this. Turning into a hologram is a heck of a weight loss program.
Well, this guy's a weirdo. We got to get out of here.
Well, see you later.
We're with Lisa J today. Lisa J, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
What are you guys showing off this year at the show?
Well, we're really excited to present our Smart V platform this year, which is the next level in digital signage. It's amazing.
Never leaving.
Wow. I've got my friend Justin Sean coming over right now.
We've got a store in Beijing, a bookstore in Beijing, that took 4 of our touch versions like this, mounted them in an alcove, and turned them into a giant Kindle.
That'd be great if I knew how to read. Justin, We'll see you later, man. It was good checking in on you. Melody, how's the show going for you so far?
The show is going good so far. I think some people had a little bit too much fun at our party last night. And there's been a little slow start.
What are some of the things that you're seeing at this show as Exertus Alamo versus maybe years prior?
We were just really encouraged by the amount of participants last night, and the booths are filling up today.
I, too, am very hungry and very tired, and if my boss is watching, not hungover at all. Where's my backpack? I am very excited because neither of us know what I'm about to ask. Penny, what are you guys showing off here at the show?
We brought it all. We brought projection screens, projector lift, mounts and structures for the LEDs, and we brought our shades. And we make it all in the US, and nobody else does all that.
There you go. There you go. Look, oh my goodness. This is InfoComm, where we have all the collaboration and the longest lines. Maybe you think we'd be able to figure this out now as an AV community, but hey, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. That is for sure.
Good.
That was real footage of me partying, by the way. I don't know if you can tell, but look, this next guest, I'm very excited about this next guest. We talk about young guns in AV. There is not anybody young gunnier than our next guest with guns of steel. Alicia Henley, thank you so much for joining us on AVIXA TV.
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing?
We're doing okay.
Chilling?
The
We chilling?
smoothest factor.
The smoothest factor is
Yeah,
right.
there you go. I'm going to take that handle, by the way. You'll be smooth, I'll be the smoothest.
The smoothest. All right, cool. We'll tag team it.
I don't know how you go from there, so I'm gonna leave that to you.
You're going to leave it to me? Well, look, one of the things that I'm most excited about, Alicia, is we actually kind of got into the industry the same way. We've had some good conversations about this, but tell us, how did you dive into AV for the first time?
How did I dive into AV for the first time? Probably at church. It had to be church, yeah. My dad had a church. He used to be a sound guy. Then he decided he was going to be a preacher. He couldn't do both. And at the time, it was like this little box, right? It was just like this box of fur with a few knobs on it. And I was about maybe 13. And it just grew from there. As our church expanded, our production expanded, right? We started streaming. We were doing cassette tapes. We were doing CDs. We were doing projection. It was this whole deal. And I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. So I started taking our gear to high school's parties. I would DJ, and I was the only person in town that had access to that gear, kind of like for free. So, you know, always the life of the party, man, and I just kept running with it. So here we are.
That's fantastic. So obviously you got into it at an early age.
Yeah.
And as you saw, we just had our scholarship winners here up on our
Yes.
panel. So
I love that.
What advice would you give someone who's just thinking about getting into the AV industry? Like, what advice would you give them?
Think outside of the box, right? I always thought I was gonna be front of house for Beyonce. Like I was like, all right, I'm gonna run front of house for Beyonce.
You still can.
But I quickly found out that I don't like that. I don't like the load-ins and load-outs, and there's a place for that, right? You have to put in the work. You have to do the grunt work. There was no way to avoid that. Like, they wouldn't even let me touch a board for a year. So I was like doing load-ins and load-outs, setting up drape, pipe, and all lights, all this stuff. But you have to start somewhere. So I started there. I realized I didn't like it. I became an in-house AV technician, and I was like, this is a little better. There is still a lot of moving things around. And then I realized, okay, I hit a pay cap. What can I do in this space next? And I realized, here is InfoComm. That's what made me find InfoComm. Like, okay, there's a community of people here that have careers in this space. Let me invest in myself to go to this show. So if nothing else, think outside of the box, because when I started doing that, I realized instead of working a soundboard, I can actually work for a company that makes soundboards, and I can still be a sound girl. No difference, right? I miss the boards, but hey, if I could be a part of a company that's leading the conversation for audio technology, that's just as good. And I can get healthcare.
Amen.
Sign me up.
Amen.
Sign me up for the healthcare.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
can't
a
argue
vibe
with that.
right
That's
there.
what you need.
Healthcare and AV.
You know,
That needs to be a podcast.
We all have these hobbies of like AV, and then your parents are like, when are you going to get a real job? And it's like, Mom, look at me now. Look at, we're on AVIXA TV.
You are on
Ma.
AVIXA TV.
Exactly.
I hope she's streaming live.
Shout out to
too.
my mom.
Well, Alicia, you mentioned kind of volunteering in the church growing up. That's one of really one of the ways that a lot of people get into the industry for the first time. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is find a way to serve or find a way to volunteer in the industry. Talk about the importance of serving and volunteering in AV.
I mean, that's what it's about. That's my purpose with everything that I create and every job I've taken. There's always been strategic, it's always been intentional. And if you lead with the purpose of giving back or inspiring somebody, then everything just opens up, right? Like the scholarship winners, they were here, they're anxious, they're engaging. They are here, right? This is a land of opportunity, and the more we can inspire each other, that's what it's about for me. That's the purpose, and that's what it's about. That's why y'all are doing this. That's why you just have the young guns on. We have to inspire each other and give more opportunities, and that's what it's about. If I could just spark a little bit of inspiration, then my day is made.
Well, you inspire a lot of people and just inspire them everywhere we go. So one question. There's not as many people who look like you and me in this industry. What do you think we can do to better make the audiovisual industry a little bit more diverse and inclusive?
We could amplify voices. So people that are in the position of privilege, right? Whether that's a publication, a magazine, this stage, like you all have done so well this week, amplifying different voices. We can't continue to amplify the same voices over and over and over again. If you have the power to share that stage with someone who is unknown, unheard of, is looking for an opportunity, or that simply just looks different, don't assume they don't want to be a part of it. Don't fall into stereotypes. Oh, they might not want to, they're shy. No, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, so give us an opportunity. There's no other way, because honestly, you don't know what you don't know, right? So we have to actively find people that look like us, and that's what I've been doing, right? I'm actively engaging. I'm like, where can I get? I'm typing in AV technician on LinkedIn, and there's a search bar right there. Not saying I'm just looking for people of color. I'm looking for young men. I'm looking for young women, people of color, people that just don't look like this show floor, right? And half of them don't know about InfoComm, right? This is a huge investment to get here, but there's other ways to step into the industry when you can't afford to come to Vegas, right? This wasn't a cheap trip if you didn't get here on your own, and that's okay, right? There's baby steps. Before I was able to invest and come into InfoComm, I went to the Exertis Alamo regional events. They are free. They give education, and they're all partnered together, right? So there's opportunity. We just have to go out and seek each other. We have to actively do the work. That's it. Say less, do more.
Wow. Well, she just said it all.
Boom.
So
Man.
I have to give her a hand clap on that
Right
one. Thank you so much for sharing your insight on
Oh,
this.
thank you for
And
having
it's
me.
really powerful, and I think it's definitely a message that we can all, take back with us and share with our organizations. So thank you so much
Thank
again.
you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And then also, just to follow up, if you know of anybody or if it's you yourself who wants to apply for that AVIXA, our foundation scholarships, we are still taking scholarships up until July 31st. So you can do that at avixa.org/scholarships. So before we throw it back to the tech innovation stage, we did want to let you know that we are going to be premiering a new series that you'll be able to see on YouTube, avixa.org, and on marketscale.com, and it's called How'd They Do That? That's how you have to say it when it comes on, right?
How they do that?
So it's going to take you behind the scenes of some amazing AV experiences from the creators themselves. Obviously, since we are in Las Vegas, the first episode is going to be featuring the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And so you're in luck. We have a sneak peek for you right now.
When I see a clean sheet of ice, I see nothing but opportunity. You have every seat in that arena, that stadium, looking right at that playing surface. And for me, it's all upside. What can we do? How can we capture that imagination?
That's Eric Gazzillo, Vice President of Quince Imaging, a company that has pioneered projection mapping for sports like Major League Baseball, the NBA, and NHL.
So when the Vegas Golden Knights want to create an unforgettable experience on opening night for the fans, they knew who to call. And luckily for us, we get a chance to see how that magic is put together. So let's go ahead and check it out.
The NHL has seen its fair share of AV innovations throughout the years. Ah yes, who could forget the old glowing puck? But in recent years, professional playing surfaces are now being utilized as blank canvases for teams looking to create the wow experiences for their fans.
A big part of everything we do in sports is trying to get butts in those seats. Well, I've got an 80-inch TV at home. I've got a 4K streaming package. You know, what's going to get them to really come in? It's that in-person experience, right? Getting them engaged, getting them excited.
In the fall of 2021, the Vegas Golden Knights were scheduled to welcome the NHL's newest franchise, the Seattle Kraken, on opening night of the NHL season. And to commemorate the event, they commissioned Quince Imaging to design an introduction worthy of a king. Or a knight?
We were the 31st team in the league. The 32nd team that was announced that year was the Kraken. And it just so happened our first home game was against the Kraken. So we knew that we had an obligation to our fans, to ourselves, to blow the roof off the place.
That was about them coming up with an entire theatrical approach of how their night was going to vanquish this new foe.
They gave us an image of this Kraken door knocker that was at a bar that they were going to shoot their live action part at. And so we kind of took that image as our inspiration and started modeling and storyboarding from there.
Working alongside the Golden Knights, the design team at Quince Imaging began to build out the creative concept and graphic sequences. Eventually, the time came to take this show to the ice, and that was complicated.
The arenas themselves are pretty complex environments. You know, you have people working literally 24/7 to put down the court, resurface the ice, and trying to find time in these arena schedules to say, hey, can we rehearse? Can we see the alignment of this tentacle? That's really not an option a lot of the times. That goes back to our process.
So when you can't go to the ice rink, you bring the ice rink to you.
With projection technology, you have to really balance your contrast, understand your focal point and your point of view. And having a scale model allows you to view things, see things from exactly where the audience and the cameras are going to see this technology. You have a physical animal that's interacting with a real person, right? So it's not here's a tentacle, it's here's a tentacle, here's center ice, here's where the performer is blocked out, and really treating it like theatrical blocking.
After all their work, the projection mapping was finally ready for opening night. The only question remaining was how the fans would react.
People freaked out. It did over 500,000 views on our social media channels alone. It did over 1 million impressions, and that's just the Golden Knights social media channel. It blew up online, and it was one of the coolest things in my career I've ever got to be a part of, and I hope and I think it was one of the coolest things that people got to witness, which was the end goal, when we started this.
All right, so you said we want to go bigger and bigger every year. Now I got to ask you, is projection mapping just a niche for arenas, or is this going to grow to something even bigger?
Well, for the first year, I was convinced this was a fad. This was going to come and go. And here we are 8, 9, 10 years later, and it hasn't stopped. It's all about integration. So you've got these bigger LEDs, more ribbons, more 4K and HDR cameras. How can you synchronize that with the projection mapping experience, right? The second thing is augmented reality. You can have things not just crack and fall away into this virtual canvas, but also pop up and out and into the audience, virtually via augmented reality effects.
That's right. It's only a matter of time before a giant Kraken emerges from the ice and jumps into the stands via augmented reality. And when that day comes, you'll know that it all began here with the talented folks at Quince Imaging.